What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to AniPeeps, your one-stop shop for all things anime and manga related. I'm one of your co-hosts, Boom. Along with me today, we got one of the boys today. And ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your hats and prepare for a wild ride. It's time to meet the one, the only, the myth, the marvel, the man who once tried to teach a goldfish to fetch. Give it up for the unstoppable, the unforgettable, and the always unpredictable Boggs. Benny, how you feeling, my man?
Said unpredictable. I feel like these intros are starting to become quite a bit unpredictable. But yes, hand clap for that amazing intro. Thank you for having me, and happy to be here.
And then, folks, we are doing another show, why to watch, or a little bit of review too. Just to let you guys know before I start talking about the show, or describe the show, it's an anime that offers an inspiring and insightful look into the world of manga creation. It follows the journey of two high school students, right, of becoming successful manga artists. Also, this series is heavily influenced by Tsugumi Ohaba, I might be butchering that, and Takashi Obata, that documents their experiences while actually working on the popular series Death Note. And of course, we're talking about the series Bakuman. Boggs, I know we talked about it a little bit off air. I said I was watching this probably early high school, late middle school. When's the first time you actually, if you do remember, watched the show?
Uh, Quite a while ago, but
Mm-hmm.
later than most, I'd say. I can't put an exact. I wasn't watching it when it was new.
Gotcha,
If
gotcha.
that. Yeah, yeah.
That does make sense. I know for me, I guess I'll get into it a little bit later, but initial thoughts on Pokemon or anything like that before we get in?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh no, I love Bakuman. I love the characters in it, and it's a very kind of like motivating story, just watching these two kids and many more around them just following their dreams. It's a pretty inspiring show, and also interesting if you're kind of curious about how the industry works, and if you kind of like
Mm-hmm.
shows that kind of dive deep into any industry. But in this case, it's manga, and when we're watching it through the anime slash manga medium, you tend to have interest for those kind of stuff. And yeah, you learn quite a bit of things, and kind of get to look behind the scenes of what actually happens, or what these guys go through to get their works being published.
Yeah, it's also pretty cool because you like manga, you like anime, so you got to see the insight, like you were saying, which is really really cool in my opinion too.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, we starting off with the characters. We're talking about the main characters first, right? You mentioned the love of the characters in the show. Of course, we have two main protagonists, main characters, right? First, we do have, again, I might be butchering this name, Boggs, if you can help, Moritaka Mashiro, or Saiko, right? Saiko, I believe, is how you say it.
Yeah, yeah, I think like Mashiro, right? Yeah.
Yep, and he's one half of the crew essentially of the team that's making a manga. So he is the artist of the duo, so the one that's actually doing the illustration for the manga. And of course, he has his right hand man or the story creator of the actual manga, Takagi Akito or Shujin. I think that's his nickname, or that's what the
Mhm.
people refer to him in the show that know him. Um, I think very different characters, right? In my opinion, they're not alike. He's more so like, I wouldn't say hard headed, but like real. And this the first character is more like naive. I would say, right? To give a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess it has to do with the plot, but there's
Mm-hmm.
also, and we'll get into it, but not to say their motivations aren't the same, but of course, like he made a promise early on with
Mm-hmm. Which we'll
another
get
character
into.
we'll talk
Yep.
about, which is Miho,
Yep.
about their dreams of kind of making an anime together, with her being the seiyuu for it.
Yep. Which is
So
voice actor, just in case.
yep,
And of
yep, yep.
course, just
And oh, go ahead, go ahead.
no, you can go. You can go. Go for it.
Oh yeah, and you kind of get their kind of struggles, with one being an illustrator, and another one being more of like the person who goes over, like, creates a plot and stuff like that. And yeah, pretty much. But at the end of the day, they're all kind of chasing the same dream, and
Mm-hmm.
they both have their differences aside. They're still like a great duo, and just watching their growth in the series was pretty pretty rough ride, I guess.
Yeah, and then like you said, they are still an iconic team or duo. Without them, they
Hmm.
couldn't complete all their works they have. And like you mentioned earlier, a supporting character is very important to the story. I only picked around four to highlight. There's many, many more, but the first one is definitely Miho. Of course, as Boggs mentioned, he does have a dream. Oh my god, I'm gonna butcher this character's name again. With him, right? I'm just gonna say him or Mashiro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Mashiro and Miho do have a promise. We'll get into it a little bit later, but she's also Mashiro's love interest, right? So you do see romance blossom throughout the story, which again we'll talk about a little bit later. But this is just an introduction to her. They went to the same school, I think middle school and high school, I believe, where they first met, and you also see their relationship grow as the story continues as well. Which
Yep.
I'm a big fan of her. I don't know about you, Boggs. I was a big fan of her. I like their character design too. Maybe early Takagi-san vibes, maybe. But now
Yeah,
looking back,
yeah. And it was just kind of, it's not like this show had romance at the center of the plot,
hmm
but it definitely was a good kind of
boost.
yeah, boost. It like really supported kind of the story as a whole, and kind of making the journey worthwhile. And yeah,
The goal of it, right? And then
yeah, I
another.
can't.
Yep. What were you saying?
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, can't quite put into words, but yeah, just definitely like supported it as a whole. And you know, yeah, I just thought it was like a very like cute plot point where
hmm
they promise each other early on that they're gonna make it happen, and then as the plot progresses, minor spoiler, it does happen. And yeah, I
Dun,
just thought that
dun,
was like
dun.
super cute.
Yeah, and then another character that's very, very important to the story is actually. God, I'm gonna butcher this guy's name again. I'm gonna Takagi. I guess that's his name, right? Takagi. The other half of the iconic duo, his girlfriend, later wife, right?
Hmm.
Kaya. She also provides incredible emotional support to both of them early on because they're both like, should we continue, should we not? And she's the one that's always pushing them to. She's more like not outspoken, but like extroverted, right? So she always
Yeah,
expresses her
she's like a
opinion.
yeah, and a homie to Mashiro too, and she's like a
hmm
really like she's real. She doesn't like embellish or like kind of try to comfort. Uh, like she's very straight up, and yeah, like you said, very like she was there for like emotional support. And she's kind of like you hear stories about like famous people who are married to like their wife that's been there for them since their day one, like
Yeah.
before they made it. Like
hmm
that's her,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
then I do like it because she says what needs to be said, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
if nobody,
yeah,
because
exactly.
she's like I wouldn't say don't care, but like she just speaks her mind very, and it just helps
Mm.
both of them early on as well, especially later and later on I meant, but yeah. And we're getting to one of my favorite characters personally in the show, the legend Nizuma. I mean, I think that's it, right? Nizuma. Um,
Yeah, yeah, the prodigy.
the prodigy talent. He served both as a rival and an inspiration to the two main characters, which is pretty clutch. And like, I think from early on, we just realized this guy's on his like a whole different level. You know what I mean? Not only just
Yeah,
his
this guy's
art,
next level.
his work ethic too. Like he lives and dies by manga. The creation of it. And
Yeah, and like the fact that he's doing it all alone at like incredible pacing. um like his hands are actually keeping up with his mind, which is like pumping out like 1,000 ideas a second kind of thing. Yeah, this
yeah,
guy's definitely like a beast in this the field of like manga creating. And very quirky guy, which
yep.
they say that a lot of mangakas are. So a
Dang,
little nice
Bugs.
touch to that.
You beat me to the punch because I was also going to mention his personality. I feel like is what I think a mangaka is like. You know what I mean? You have to
Yeah,
have that edge to be great. You know what I mean? This is why I think of like all the
and
great mangakas. They're kind of wild, or I wouldn't say like hard. Like what is the word I'm looking for? Like people don't like them. Because of their personalities. But that's the way they
yeah,
have to be because they're prodigies, they're geniuses, right, in their craft. Which is you see this
no
as
one can
well.
understand him.
Yep, yep. And then I like it how they put him in here pretty early on, and it just shows like what the level is, like what they're trying to achieve. Like he got like the manga to anime first. You know, everything he did was first, right? And you just
Yep,
always
yep.
see them like that's where I need to be. That's the level I need to be in order to achieve my goals. Which is, I mean, again, this is one of my favorite characters, not just because of personality, but all his mangas he wrote. Like I think it was Crow or Crows or something. Not the
Yeah,
Crows
yeah, like
manga,
Crow.
but
Yeah, yeah, Crow. And
like
it looked pretty epic too.
yeah. And before I move on to I've heard like a lot of the mangas the two main protagonists created is also like actual mangas. I didn't know that until doing a little bit more research. These two guys,
They,
um, which is pretty cool.
yeah, they also have like when they go, cause the main character Mashiro, I think his like uncle or dad was
Uncle,
a
yep,
mangaka too.
in the
Yeah, so
very
like it's nice when you kind of look at the shelves, like when you go in the room and there's like a shelf full of manga, and I love it when they do it in animes or like mangas where they don't really have the lettering, so you can't exactly tell, but just
you
based off
know
the book design, you're like, oh, this is this manga kind of thing.
like for
But
example, I think the ones on the ground here are Jump. You know, like the
yeah,
weekly
yeah,
Jump, or you can.
yeah,
Example would be like I don't know what show it was, but instead of One Piece, it was Two Piece. I've seen
yeah, yeah.
like something like
Like
that where if you know.
they do like the McDonald's kind of thing for
Yeah, or, or
manga.
or like Kombini stuff too, right? They changed
Yeah,
to
but
11 or
sometimes I
something.
think sometimes it's nice when you see one that they don't have to change. I can't remember if for this show they actually had to change it because I mean this was Jump, so maybe they might have had like some actual titles and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a nice touch.
Or yeah, the more recent ones like I remember Otaku Elf. Me and you talked about it. They had like Red Bull, like
Yeah,
like
yeah,
was it
yeah,
sponsored? Like yeah, which is
yeah, and like
it's always good
Rose
Easter
Band
eggs.
Cry, Rose Band Cry had Yoshinoya and stuff. They were
Oh
both
really?
in there, so
Beef Bull.
yeah.
Yeah. And then last supporting character I want to talk about. I'm glad they put this character in there and they use them a lot and we got to see another side of the industry, right? It's the editor.
Gone.
I'm
Right?
getting
Doesn't it kind of look like?
yeah,
I
going
guess the color in the hair, just the color in the hair.
and I'm getting the lips of the taco guy from One Piece. I forgot his name, Hachi or he's got
Oh
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
same. But
This
yeah,
guy was very supportive guy,
yeah,
man. I
Hattori, I
like this
believe
guy
his
a lot.
name is. He was the editor for the two main protagonists, Mashiro and Takagi. He's the one that every week or I don't know month they'll bring the manga. He would look over it and then pass along the chain. But he was. I feel like usually it's known that real life editors really don't care. You know what I mean? Like if you're not good, they don't put that much into it. But you just seen how much he wanted them to like succeed, which is pretty
Uh,
cool.
yeah, I mean, he was a fan. Like, he liked what they did, which also kind of ties into earlier with Nizuma,
Hmm.
the psycho guy.
The beast.
I like that rivalry a lot too because he really liked their work, and it's kind of like a mutual respecting with the
Hmm.
two chasing him while him also kind of appreciating their work. But yeah, this guy was definitely a real one.
Yeah, and he always like looked after them, like gave them strategy advices to how to like keep moving on and eventually get an anime. Because again, that was one of their main goals, which we'll talk about here shortly. But that's the characters that I want to highlight. I think those were the most important. Of course, there's other mangaka artists. I don't remember his name, but do you remember like the chubby guy and then the girl that teamed up? Like they were epic as
Yeah,
well.
like the shoujo
Hmm.
artists, right?
Yeah,
And
you
there was
guys.
also kind of like the douche guy.
Yeah.
Not douche, but yeah,
Like
kind
with
of a little mean-ish.
not a hat, but he had like a
Very.
almost like a towel wrapped around his head, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
I do have a pic in here, but when I get to it, we'll highlight it again. But yeah, those were the characters in the Bakuman show that I thought that were main and supporting characters too. But I know we briefly went over it, but the main plot of the story here. Let me pull it up. The pictures here for you. And this is there he is right there. You referring to the guy
Yeah,
that's
the white hair.
yep, white hair with a white hat. And the guy below him, the green hair guy. I don't think he had green hair in the show, but he was pretty epic too. Another mangaka artist as well.
Yeah, yeah,
And you see the shoujo to the top right, the girl and the guy, like super tiny, as you can see. But yeah, for the main plot, we have Mashiro, who is an average student with a hidden talent for drawing. His life takes a dramatic turn when Takagi, the top student in their class, discovers Mashiro's drawing skills and proposes they team up to create a manga. Takagi will write stories and Mashiro will illustrate them. Motivated by his crush Miho, which we have talked about, that will both that they will both achieve their dreams and get married once she becomes a successful voice actor. Mashiro agrees to this partnership, and thus begins the story of Bakuman. From the get go, I do I did lead this out. I think you briefly mentioned it in the beginning episode. I think another reason why he wants to be a mangaka is because his uncle passed away, who was a mangaka, right? If I do remember correctly,
Yeah.
which just ties into like his goal. You know what I mean? It just pushes him as a character too.
Yeah, and again, to kind of talk about the romance aspect of it, sure, they could have done it without it, but I mean, just being like a big fan of like romance series and stuff like that, it just really elevated it to me. And like, sure, maybe it could be seen as a bit cheesy with, like, once our dreams come true, let's get married kind of thing. But I think it was like executed so well in this show, especially with, you know, their personality really is like great for each other, and kind
Mm-hmm.
of their goals in life are aligned in the sense of her wanting to be a voice actress and him wanting to be a, mangaka. And even in that pursuit, there is a lot of ups and downs that kind of happens. But yeah, just that's another kind of thing that's great about this series. It's not all like, it's not very plot armor heavy. Like, they really do grind to get to where they want to, and they
Multiple
definitely do.
fails too. You know, like
Yeah, yeah,
some like. I think the first one they only got so far, right? Or PCP. I don't know if you remember that Perfect Crime Party.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it was going until they hit a problem where it's a bad influence on kids, so they had to cut it. You know what I
hmm,
mean? Like you see, like it's
yeah,
not just a one. They create one manga and its story ends. Like you see them like. I think at one point they were thinking about quitting, right? Because they just couldn't get anything rolling. And then
yeah. You really do get like a deep dive into kind of the struggle as an artist, like
mm-hmm.
as a creator, I guess, with kind of I forgot what the word is when you're
Overworked.
kind of blanking out on ideas.
I think it's
Uh,
creative something, right? Like creative
yeah,
roadblock maybe or something.
yeah, yeah, something like that.
Keyword.
Creator's block, writer's block,
Writer's
something
block.
like
Writer's
that.
block. We'll go with that.
Yeah, yeah, and also kind of disagreement within kind of your partner,
Mm-hmm.
and of course kind of your idea not being kind of accepted, or people kind of talking about how, you should change this, change that, and that kind of leads into
Because you want
it
creative
deviating
freedom too,
for.
right?
Yeah, exactly. And kind of the strictness of some stuff kind of deviates you from your original vision. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then it's again, I got some key themes and elements. We talked about, and you actually hit on a bunch of the first ones. Dream and aspirations, right? Ambitions, excuse me. Gosh. Obviously the dream is to make an anime. So first you need a hit manga, right, to make that anime, and it just explores the central theme of to pursue dreams, even though the numerous challenges they face, like you just previously talked about, where some of their shows, or excuse me, some of their manga just doesn't hit that mark right, and you see them try and try and try, and then all that hard work um, goes to like it's essentially nothing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this anime captured that so well because like in real life, imagine you and a buddy has a dream and like your first one does okay, so now you get your not hopes up, but you want to work harder, grind harder, right? And then
Mhm.
one day it's like it's just not good enough. It's not getting that much readers and things like that. Like imagine
Yeah.
that feeling, and then this show captures it quite well. I thought too.
And when you also kind of compare yourself to like a prodigy like Nizuma, like
It's
his
hard.
just straight successful, he just has what it takes kind of thing. He's like a natural talent, and
Hmm.
competing against that, like this show really
And,
does a
and I
great
think they're
job of.
before you
Oh, go
forget,
ahead, go ahead.
I think Nizuma's 2 is younger, if I do remember correctly. So it just
Yeah,
adds on.
yeah.
I just want to
Like, it's
add
just
that
like
quickly.
he just got that natural talent, which, like, in real life, a lot of situations, I'm pretty sure it's something anyone can relate to, where you love something, you just keep grinding and grinding, but you just compare yourself to others who just seem to do it at ease, and it could really be kind of um
Put your spirits down,
like
right?
put you down. And yeah,
Yeah.
so like I like with that, and obviously like throughout the 3 seasons it's just like nonstop them kind of going through their ups and downs with success and failures. It really does do a great job of kind of making their ambitions clear and their drive, but also making like their wins very rewarding. And you feel happy for pretty much all of them. Not just Mashiro and Takagi, but also kind of Hattori there and
Look at I just love that picture. He's
people on their team. Yeah,
like
like
obviously uh Nizuma is a way better artist, right? But they're both just cheering
mhm.
him on. This picture's pretty epic, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like a card battle, but they're drawing instead.
And that's a good point. Like it's a manga anime, but it was still
It's like
like
a battle,
y-
you know.
yeah, it was, but it was still like good. Like if I were to tell, hey, Boggs, I got an anime for you. It's about creating manga. You would be like, all right, hold up, I'm not watching that. But this
Yeah,
one's actually like it gives you insight to the business, which we've been saying from the beginning, and it just like even the way more so Nijima draws, like he draws so epically, and then when you see because I think even though manga, like creating manga, is the main thing, like you don't just sit there and just watch him draw. If that makes sense, there's like so much other challenges they face to make this show really really good to watch for sure.
and if you're into like you know otaku culture series, or kind of getting like a deep dive into the kind of it doesn't even have to be like an industry you're interested in, really. Like, I mean, if we're talking the industry, like two big ones obviously is like Bakuman and Shirobako, which are both amazing series. But pretty much any other thing where you really don't know anything about, it's nice when you kind of jump into it with like not crazy expectations, and you actually become interested in kind of like the topic and the
Hmm.
industry that whatever they're working on. So,
More recent back
but
to
of
look
course,
back
like
to.
yeah, yeah. So like I mean, you're watching an anime, so naturally you're probably somewhat interested in maybe like manga or anime industry. So,
Hmm.
but
And
this
it's a
series
good
is
take
definitely
on it.
more than that. It's about kind of like the theme you're talking about earlier with like dreams and ambitions and kind of chasing your dreams. And it's like a very like like seishun, like that that transition from like teenager to adulthood, kind of like actually making your dreams a reality. It's like a very inspiring story, man. Great
100%.
show.
I was trying to think of the word he says when he's writing. He's like choo choo or something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the noise. I was
it
trying to
is
think of
such an
that the whole
odd
time.
character.
Yeah, and then after that one, I do have friendships and rivalry. Again, we've talked about this heavily, right? Just us naturally talking about it. But this anime, without even rivals that turn into friends, without that dynamic relationship, I don't think these two characters would go on to be so successful, right? And I like that because that's real, right? Because in order to be
Mm.
successful, you do need friends. You do need healthy rivalries to gain. Because if you're just chilling, no rivals, you're never gonna push yourself to be better, you know. And this manga
Yeah,
shows that greatly too.
and especially even within them, right? Like they're like constantly butting heads, and if I remember, there's like one arc where that really got bad. So,
And
uh,
the just like, I
yeah,
know
yeah,
we talked so heavily about this. I was just gonna zoom past this one, but the summary is the blended support and competition drives them. The drive it just improves them so throughout the whole story, and you really do see that.
yeah.
I feel like that's a super hard one to animate, right? And it looks good, and it comes off as you feel the same impact. But this show definitely did that for sure.
And the fact that they did it in like 3 seasons, and I forget like if I remember it wasn't like 12 episode seasons, right? It's like
The first
20
one I
some
do,
episodes.
the first one I remember was 25. I'm not sure about the later seasons, but I know for sure
Okay.
the first one was 25.
Okay, okay. So yeah, it might have been like the 25, 25, 12, or something like that. So they really did take their time with it, which definitely just makes the journey not feel rushed. Like it was like a grind to watch, not in a bad sense, but they took their times with all the struggles, and um, which made like the success part just so worthwhile.
And I know this is just for me, but I remember watching this. It was whatever year it was. It was during the summer, so I remember I had like
Hmm.
a part-time pool job, and then like, if you never worked pool, it's so boring. Like you're just waiting for time to tick, right? Almost waiting for people to need some help in the pool, if you know what I mean. But
Damn, it
like
gets that boring.
I remember like I was like, all right, I'm gonna grind through this shift, and I'm going to watch Bakuman because it was like that. Like it still left me like that. Not like there's like some shows that leave you on a cliffhanger, Oshinoko, right? But I still wanted to like hurry up and watch it because I want to know what happens. I want to see the goal get achieved. It was such a good
Yeah,
watch, and I'll talk about like the meanings of it a little bit later too. But this show is really really good. I mean, when you see like I can't even describe it. Just the characters in this show too. It's on par, my friend. Because I would have never going into it. You never think this show is gonna be how it is. Like just because if you
yeah.
read the
I mean, you're just
synopsis,
cheering. Yeah, you're just cheering for them, and you're kind of like on the journey with them. So yeah,
exactly,
I get what you
exactly,
mean.
yeah. Another key point about the story. We touched on it. Overarching, you see the creative process of anime, of manga, and it's really a detailed look into the creation of manga, right? From the brainstorming to the drafting storyboards to meet with the editors. You see all that, and you even see the failures and things like that too. I know they didn't touch about it. They kind of did, like not so heavy as like maybe like look back or more modern shows. They briefly touch about like the like it was so hard to meet deadlines. Overworked is right
Yeah,
now, but it barely touched on it. Sometimes it did because they were struggling to meet the deadlines, and he stayed up for a couple hours at night or something like that. But
I
I
mean,
just
after watching this, I started to just never complain about you know like hiatuses, or like what I can't wait for the next volume. Like this needs to hurry up. Like of course I do feel it,
really,
but yeah, this really gave me
my
like a like obviously I have like, oh, I
medalist.
can't wait for it to come out. Yeah, like that's my excitement side, but it's not out of like anger or anything, because like these guys, especially like right before the closing deadline, like these guys are just pulling all-nighters, just drawing and writing for hours and hours, and getting like a few hours of nap in like poor conditions. Like they're not like sleeping on the bed, they're just like sleeping kind of thing. And like, yeah, the industry is rough, man.
And I can see like because you can say oh but they enjoy it, right? But I can see how some authors like after a long series, Hunter x Hunter,
Yeah,
Vagabond, they get tired of it because imagine you're writing the same stuff for a couple years. And
yeah.
again, I hate to see it, but you're right. You do kind of understand it too, right?
Hmm.
And you also get to
And then,
see. Oh, you can go. You can go.
oh no, no, mine's completely off topic.
I was about to say, just to wrap this one up too. You also do get to see like I wouldn't say the dark side of anime and manga, but you get to see the real side of it, right? Because I
Yeah,
bet
which
for
is like pretty
every
dark too.
for every one duo that makes it or team that makes it, there's gonna be hundreds maybe, or that's not gonna make it, right? Like imagine you
Yeah,
just never get past that storyboard drafting storyboards phases to actually start getting published, right? I bet that's so hard too, man. I mean, that's why
yeah,
you
'cause
appreciate because everyone like if you realize it, like um, people say, "Oh, you're a good drawer," but you realize like some of these people that draw manga are insane, man,
yeah,
insane.
it's like next level.
Mm-hmm.
And like kind of to your point, it really does emphasize it in this show because they start from the beginning, right? So like you see them from kind of getting on the backside of like the weekly Shonen Jump kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and just being able to stay on that, to be able to, because they do like
Mm-hmm.
surveys and stuff like that, and they want to be like in the top three, number one on the survey list to kind of be bumped up on the how early you are in the book, and after doing that for like a certain amount of time, then maybe you get like published and it gets extended kind of thing. But just
Yeah.
watching these guys grind it out from the start and having to restart and over and over kind of thing, just like whenever I'm reading a manga, it's like, damn, I wonder,
How much work.
how much work, not just in the manga you're reading, but just came before that.
Mm-hmm. And then like another one, again, goes hand in hand with that creative process, the personal sacrifice we see in this show, right? Just
Yeah,
imagine this show. We've seen it sometimes where Mashido, for instance, mostly him, he does lose like social life esque, right? Because he doesn't even know what. I remember at one point I was talked about this earlier, but talk about now. At one point you don't even know what's going on with Miho. Like you know what I mean? Like it just
yeah,
but then like because he's so dedicated to the craft, he doesn't even know like he hears some things. Oh, she's doing good voice acting, but then you're like, oh, does she have another boyfriend? Right? Does she remember the promise? Because that's all his live and breathe. Just this, right? And sometimes it's just by
and that's
himself, countless hours
yeah,
just drawing, and it gives a good realistic portrayal, I believe. Again, I'm not that familiar with the manga industry and stuff like that, but about how the manga's balance or imbalance between work and personal life, dude. It did.
hmm
I mean,
yeah, that definitely does come at the cost of like the social life, and at least it was kind of that kind of what I mentioned earlier was
mhm.
like a goal they had together too, which I thought made it for like a beautiful romance series actually, even though it's not really a big theme of it. But the
I think it's like
fact
an
that kind
underlining
of
theme, right? It's in
yeah,
there, but it's
like
not the main focus, like you previously mentioned.
because like you mentioned earlier with, a lot of times they aren't really in communications, but behind it you know that deep down, like, Miho's supporting, like she's supporting him like in spirit, and she's hoping that like his grinding and like they trust each other, that they're grinding it out on their own to make their, I guess, promise come true. Like they have that trust where it's like, I trust that like Miho's, you
Mm-hmm.
know
Working
doing
on
good
her
with voice
stuff too. Yeah,
acting. Yeah.
exactly. And
And
then,
then I think it was like the plot point you mentioned earlier where Miho gets like a voice actress role in a different anime, right?
yep.
And then that kind of like puts him under the pressure, like, she's already getting up there, and it's not out of it's not out of like jealousy, but it's more of like, like she's fulfilling her end of her deal. What am I doing? Like I gotta become successful kind of thing.
Yep. And then this one just shows you like even though like everything you said, he's just gonna stick with his craft, dude. He's just gonna like
Mhm.
throw everything out, like, and which also that's what I was gonna say. It also makes again, like you mentioned, romance is not the biggest theme here, but it makes the ending so much better. You know, when it finally everything comes through, it just makes it so much sweeter because you see how much he had to do, and just he never gave up, and he's always sacrificing. So at the end, it's just so much sweeter too.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, I might be wrong, but the they made the promise and kind of completed the promise in a way. Obviously, like they completed the promise when they made the show together, but when they're both scenes, is at the front gate, and then in the first earlier on in the past when they make the promise, he's kind of just standing outside the gate. He kind of declares that, like, I'm gonna make it and you're gonna be my seiyu in the show. And then once the success happened on both sides, like, he opens the gate and goes up to her, and can't remember if he kisses or hugs her, but
Kisses
yeah,
her.
super cute. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a wholesome moment for sure. We got two more things I want to talk about, Boggs, and then I'll probably give a quick summary of it too. We talked about this quite a bit. I'd say this is the most thing we talked about so far, but I did leave it as a category just in case we left something out. But again, industry insight. We see how manga is created. There's hardships, and we also get to see some anime how it's created, and a little bit of voice actor. Not so much. I mean, only bits and pieces of it, but this for me is what makes Bakuman a good show. You know what I mean? because it's real too. It's not like it's like sugar coated or anything like that. Like I previously mentioned, you get the real anime, real manga,
Mm.
insider view. You know.
Making deadlines, having to change stuff last minute. Yeah,
Again,
definitely super tough.
cause the added hattori, I like that because you get the editorial view too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he wants all you need. Like he's just even though I'm guessing as an editor you get the I bet you have so many different mangakas working for you or not working for you but assigned to you, right? He
Hmm.
just shows like I could imagine myself if I was editor because I'm so even shows I'm so biased towards, right. So if I
Yeah.
liked something I'd be like, yo, come on, we need to push this up. We're gonna get this done, either me or you, man. But
All I know is if I was a mangaka, I would want Hattori on my side.
100%, 100% caring, and but
Yeah.
he also tells the truth. Like he'd be like, yo, this is garbage. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you need to work on
Yeah.
this and this if you want to make it.
Like what's going on? Yep.
And then lastly here, again, underlying underlying theme of the show, right? Not the main one, but you do have romance. The relationship between Mashiro and Miho adds a romance. I would say subplot, right? Was what you classify as Boggs. Um,
Hmm.
it just makes the goal that they're fighting for. Uh, I don't know, not sustainable. I don't know. It's like a graspable goal, right? He can always shoot for that, and at times, like I said earlier, you don't know if Miho still as a viewer, you don't know if Miho's like still remembers it or even cares about it. But at the end, like you do see it come together, which just adds to the whole show for sure.
Yeah. Like the thing with this is like you a lot of times you don't know what Miho's up to, but you just know that she's like she's doing her best to fulfill her end of her promise, and yeah, which just makes like the final parts of the show incredible, and
Yeah, and another
yeah,
romance that's
her a great character also.
barely talked about is Takagi and his girlfriend, later wife. That was a
Hmm.
epic couple too. And then she's
Yeah,
actively. I think she was friends with Miho too, right? So she was giving updates and stuff like that, if I do remember correctly. But
yeah, she would like hang out with them a lot too, so like she's a kind of the not I wouldn't say like outsider, but whenever they would bump heads and shit, like she'd be the one that would kind of straighten them out.
yeah, and I do like this. I think this is the opening, but this sums it up really well because he's grinding and she's grinding,
Yeah,
right? Even because again, sometimes you don't see her for like 10 episodes. You know what I mean? Because it's just,
yeah,
but in the back, maybe at times you question it, but then once you realize like she's fighting for it too, it just makes the story a lot better, for sure.
agreed, agreed.
And then Boggs, do you have anything else to add about the story that you want to talk about? I know we talked quite a bit, and I think we did hit all the key stuff as well. Characters, the realistic portrayal, right? And I guess one thing I want to add, Boggs, it's cool because like I don't know how I'm pretty sure it's loosely based, but if this is how like Death Note was created, like those two working together, that's pretty epic. You know what I mean? I'm guessing it's loosely
Yeah,
based, but
but I'm sure anyone in the manga industry would watch this and say like, you know, I could totally relate. So, uh, yeah, like maybe the romance and stuff like that would just like a additional thing just for the story's sake. But
storyline, right? Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess my not really addition, but to kind of summarize everything on my part, if you're interested in anything like the creation of how manga goes from just being an idea to becoming published, which later, if popular enough, becomes made into like an anime. If you're kind of interested in the manga slash anime industry, or you know, kind of like drama type stories of more like inspiring stories of people
Mm-hmm.
chasing their goals and making their dreams come true, or if you kind of like some of like the subtext romance that we kind of talked about, then I feel like this is definitely a show you should check out. It's definitely on the longer end, but
Oh,
and
yeah, it's
quite
25
old
all three
now,
episodes
but
too. Yeah, it
yeah,
is.
but
Yeah,
definitely worth the watch.
100% agree. And this is where I was gonna talk about score wise, right? I think I talked to you about it before airing. For me, when I got Mao, it was way after I watched the show. So you know when you're just adding shows because you did watch it, but you don't really remember it. You know what I mean? This is a show currently on my Mao, I rated like a 7 and a 6. But I feel like if I rewatch it, just doing some research when we're about to do this episode, I feel like I let the score down, man, and I think I'm gonna rewatch it here pretty soon, because just remembering the emotion, that's what I needed, you know. Because when you're scoring on stuff like Mao, you just like looking at the show,
It's like, oh yeah, I remember watching Bakuman. It was pretty cool.
but like, and I'm looking
Even
at
in
it,
the
well,
seven.
I don't have any figures of it, you know. I don't have any,
Yeah,
like, was it really that good? But then like remembering, you know, when you remember like scenes and epic moments, and you're like, God, that was a good
yeah.
anime. Makes me love anime. Shout out that dude. Oh, but like I said, I gave it 7 and 6s. I'm gonna rewatch it and I'm gonna rescore it. I think it's gonna be just off of memory. I think it's probably be 8 or 9. But again, for right now, I'm not gonna change it until I rewatch it. I want to give it that rewatch to see how I'm feeling. Box, what would you give it? And then I'm
Uh,
talking about the whole, not by season. I'm just talking about the collective, if that makes sense. Just a series wise.
yeah. As a series as a whole, I'd put it at like 8.5. I like
Nice.
in between
Oh,
8 and 9.
no, no rookie scores. This is making me look like a rookie.
Yeah, no, I said maybe no decimal points, but I think a point 5 is like solid. I think as a whole, this definitely is like a above 8, below 9 kind of show. Uh, just because of so much elements into it of plot points slash like themes that I like romance, kind of chase a dream kind of story, and I think it executed super well, and just being able to
Hmm.
look under the hood of like the anime or sorry manga industry and kind of the brutal reality of trying to make it as a manga artist, I thought was like a super interesting one, and I just enjoyed all of those aspects, and yeah.
Yep. And then again, it's 2024 now, right? And this came out in 2010, I believe. So similarity. If you watch Look Back and you like Look Back, maybe give this a shot, because this is not a movie. It's gonna be episodic, so you might enjoy that if you do that. And I know
Yeah,
you.
pretty similar themes,
Mm-hmm.
like a duo manga crew or manga duo and kind of chasing your dreams. But
And
yeah, like you
you
said,
did
this is
mention
like a
another one
series.
too, right? Sorry to cut you off.
Um,
You said
wait, mention
us.
what?
I earlier on you mentioned another show that's like that. What was that again? I haven't watched it.
Oh, it was Shirobako. That's
There's another
that's
one.
the anime industry.
Oh, okay, okay. So maybe watch Bakuman from manga and Shirobashi. Am I butchering it?
Shirobako.
Yeah.
Go go
For
to show.
anime,
Go to show.
I might add
Yeah.
that to my list actually.
Yeah, if you like Shirobako, of course this is like a bit more different because Shirobako's a, a bit more moe, obviously, but if you're someone who's interested in like otaku culture themes
Mm, nice,
and
nice. Similar to Bakuman,
yeah,
I'm guessing. But
yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'll watch that one. We'll do another one about that. How about that? See the
Yeah,
differences.
Shirobako is amazing. You're gonna love it.
Got you. And then for summary, I got something jotting down here. So in summary, Bakuman is an inspiring anime that blends excitement of chasing dreams with the realities of the manga industry. God, I butchered that. In detailed depiction of the creative process, along with the strong character development and relationship which we talked about throughout the show episode, makes it a compelling watch for anyone interested in storytelling and artistic ambitions. So that is my summary of Bakuman. Boggs, you have anything else to say before we wrap this one up?
Just copy paste what you said.
Nice.
Amazing show.
Amazing show, amazing cast. Without further ado, thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. What was your favorite part? Other than that, peace out.
All right. Thanks for listening, Boom. Thanks for having me. See ya.